My sister married my ex, and when I revealed my scars, she called me jealous. Now he's stalking us both, and I don't know if I can protect us both. I had a psychotic ex named Victor who targeted me because I came from a damaged household and had little self esteem. During our 9-month relationship, he shattered every ounce of my self esteem and convinced me that I was unworthy of love. Every time he yelled at me or touched me, he'd blame it on me because I forced him to do it. That if I didn't push him, he would not injure me. In barely 9 months, he had left me with psychological and physical scars from head to toe, and I only found the strength to leave him after he was arrested and imprisoned. I promptly packed my belongings and left his place. I never saw him again until now. It was my sister's wedding and my first encounter with her fiancé. They lived together on the other side of the planet. It was odd to see my sister Anna walk down the aisle, and I wanted to cry of joy until I saw her husband Victor step behind her. My entire world had turned upside down. I felt nauseated, so I had to leave the ceremony and go to the bathroom to throw up. My brain was spinning. Did Victor intentionally seek me down and seduce my sister? Did my sister know what he had done? Didn't she care? I had a lot of questions and very few answers. When I came out of the bathroom 40 minutes later, everyone was already dancing. My sister was the first to notice and invited me over, introducing me to her great husband. It took everything in me not to puke, especially because he smiled the same way he used to after abusing me. I barely managed to hello, but just as I was ready to excuse myself, my sister went away asking me to bond with Victor a little. My legs went rubbery with anxiety, especially when Victor seized my hand and led me to the dance floor. I attempted to break free gently, but his grip was too firm. He leaned in and murmured into my ear, asking if I missed his touch. I wanted to get sick, and I muttered to him that I wasn't the same vulnerable girl I once was. But rather than taking me seriously, he chuckled. He stated I was even easier than he remembered. And then he threatened to make what he used to do to me feel like a massage if I told anyone about our past. I gulped in dread, and despite my need to scream, I simply slow danced with him, resisting the feminine urge to name in the gonads. The following few hours of my life were a blur. I don't recall much, but one incident stands out. Approaching Anna while she was away from Victor. I knew I was endangering my life, but I needed to tell her the truth. I brought her out back where no one could hear us, and I opened up to her. This was the first time I was open about where all of my scars originated from. It felt almost liberating to be able to cry without having to put on a brave face. But as I was pouring my heart out, I noticed Anna's expression contort. She was getting upset, but not with Victor. She was unhappy with me for lying. She refused to believe me, claiming that I was only jealous because she had found a husband before me. I asked her to listen to me. Victor was a monster capable of doing this. I showed her my burn mark down there, but she still refused to listen and urged me to take my envy elsewhere. She left me alone outdoors and went back inside to dance with Victor, all while I sobbed nonstop. That one instant hurt more than anything Victor had ever done to me. The rest of the night between us was really strained. We scarcely looked at each other. What made matters worse was that I believe Victor knew I had told Anna something, since he kept giving me this "oh, you up" smirk. I left the wedding early and panicked the entire time they were on their honeymoon. I was anxious about Anna's safety, but what I didn't comprehend was that I didn't need to be concerned about Anna. It was me, since Victor never loved Anna. He had come back for me. And what he did next made that painfully evident when I received an email from Anna last Tuesday. Subject line: exciting news. They decided to extend their honeymoon and were coming to see me. They had already purchased tickets. They'd arrive in 10 days and stay for 3 weeks. I quickly vomited again. The notion of Victor in my area, my secure haven, made me violently sick. I called my employer regarding temporary transfers to other offices, but I was turned down because we are understaffed. I pondered subletting my condo and vanishing for a while, but my agreement prohibits that. I began searching at hotels thinking that I might be able to stay elsewhere while they were visiting. But it felt like running away again. And after Victor, I vowed myself that I would never allow anyone to make me feel the need to run again. That pledge had served as my anchor during the years of healing and rebuilding. I did the only thing I could think of. I installed security cameras around my apartment, including outside the door, the living room, the corridor, and everywhere except the bathroom. I changed all of my locks, purchased new pepper spray, and informed the building security of a stalker issue so that they could be on alert. I was careful to stress that this guy was dangerous and might mimic a family member to acquire access. I expressly stated that no one would be allowed inside my flat without my personal permission, regardless of who they claimed to be. I memorized emergency numbers and escape routes, preparing for any circumstance imaginable. I thought I was being neurotic and too prepared. Then yesterday, I received a text from an unknown number containing a photo of me walking into my building after work shot that same day. I blocked the number instantly. 40 minutes later, another unknown number texted. Another shot of myself at the coffee shop across from my office that morning. He's already arrived. He's already here observing me. The understanding struck me like a physical blow, leaving me breathless and disoriented. Last night, I stayed at my friend Sophia's flat. I told her I had a plumbing problem. I didn't sleep at all. I kept checking my phone, waiting for more texts. Nothing arrived. Every creak in the structure and distant siren had me sitting bolt upright, heart thumping. This morning, I returned to my apartment to get clothing for work. I found something that made my blood run cold. A little electronic gadget hidden in the bulb beside my bed. A listening device in my bedroom. The intrusion into my private area felt like another type of assault. I broke it right away, then tore apart my place. Hunting for more, I discovered 3 more. One behind the television, another beneath the kitchen table, and one near the window. I smashed them all, packed a bag, and returned to Sophia's. My hands couldn't stop shaking as I shoved random clothes into my luggage without verifying what I was packed. I am writing this from her guest room. I've been staying here for 5 days. Sophia feels something is wrong, but she isn't sure what it is. I don't want to pull her into this mess, but I can't stay alone right now. Sophia has always been there for me, bringing me coffee and stillness and allowing me space without inquiry. I keep asking myself how this is happening. How did he discover me? How did he discover Anna? Was this his intention all along, to infiltrate my family and obtain access to me again? The deliberate nature of everything scares me more than random violence ever could. The saddest aspect is that I have no proof that he sent the photos or planted the devices. Nothing I could bring to the police, only my word against his. And we all know how that went out for Anna. Law enforcement had already failed me. Why should this be any different? I feel like I'm losing my mind. I feel like I'm back in the relationship where I questioned everything, my perceptions, memories, and value. He's regaining influence over me, and I'm not sure how to stop it. That usual fog is rolling in, making me question myself in ways I thought I could transcend. Anna called earlier and said they'd be visiting in 10 days instead of next month. Change of plans. Can't wait to see you. I made up an excuse about a work conference, but she persisted on hanging around at my apartment while I worked. The thought of them waiting for me, of returning home and finding him there, makes my skin crawl. The thought of them in my flat, him touching my belongings and sleeping in my bed. I am literally shaking as I type this. This place I've made for myself thousands of miles away from my past is now tainted by his presence. I do not know what to do when there is no evidence. Call the police. Try to persuade Anna again when she clearly does not trust me. Move to another nation. None of these feel like viable possibilities. I feel cornered, caught in an impossible circumstance with no clear way out. So Reddit, what would you do? How can I protect myself and my sister from someone who has already defeated the system and is now legally part of my family? I survived him once. I am not sure if I can do it again. Update. I received another text. This is a photo of me sitting by Sophia's window right now. The message simply reads, "Found you. I'm going to throw up again." I nearly dropped my phone when I received that message. I found you. My hands were shaking so much that I could barely show Sophia. Her cheeks turned pale when she saw it. This wasn't a random creep or happenstance anymore. Victor was stalking me down like some insane game. "We need to call the police," Sophia remarked, reaching for her phone. I grabbed her wrists. "And tell them what that my sister's new husband is sending me photos. That I believe he bugged my apartment, but I destroyed all the evidence. They'll think I'm crazy." Sophia's apartment felt exposed with all of its windows. I kept watching shadows walk across the street and wondered whether each one was him. We closed all of the blinds and double-checked the locks. Sophia suggested that I use her bedroom because it had fewer windows and was farther from the front door. I couldn't sleep anyway, so I just lay there staring at the ceiling, leaping at any noise from the street below. Around 2:45 a.m., my phone vibrated again. Another unknown number. I almost didn't look. But what if something was important? What if it's Anna? It was not just 4 words. "Sweet dreams, Elise." I instantly erased it and shut off my phone. My heart was beating so fiercely that I could feel it in my throat. How did he receive so many different numbers? How did he constantly stay one step ahead? The next morning, I called in sick from work. I couldn't risk going somewhere where he could follow me. Sophia offered to stay at home, but I urged she go. There's no purpose in both of us missing work. As soon as she departed, I began investigating. I looked into stalking laws, restraining orders, and anything else that could help. The majority of cases required evidence of explicit threats or several documented events. I received some photos and texts from strange numbers. There is nothing substantial that connects them to Victor. I opened a new email account and began chronicling everything: dates times what happened and how it made me feel. I captured screenshots of the text before deleting them. It was not much, but it was something. A paper trail, a reality check, when I started to doubt myself. Then I called Lucas, my oldest friend from home. If anyone would completely believe me, it would be him. He had witnessed the repercussions of what Victor had done to me 7 years ago. When I was too scared to stay in one city, he helped me move. "Jesus Christ," he replied after I had told everything. "This guy is seriously deranged. What should I do?" "Lucas, he's coming here in 10 days with Anna." Lucas paused for a bit. "You can't face this alone. Can you come stay with me for a while? He's already tracking me, and I can't just leave my job, my apartment, everything I've built here. Then I'm coming to you," he stated forcefully. I experienced a wave of relief followed by panic. "No, he might hurt you too. He's dangerous, Lucas." We talked for nearly 3 hours going over ideas that appeared implausible. Lucas eventually recommended something I hadn't considered: confronting Victor publicly in public. The concept made my stomach turn, but maybe if I met him on my own terms, in daylight, with people around, I'd be willing to attempt it. I texted Anna to see when they would arrive, and proposed we meet for coffee on their first day here, somewhere public. She responded almost immediately, stating that they had already arrived early that morning. They had arrived at my apartment and were now waiting for me. My blood ran cold. They weren't intended to stay here for another 10 days. I looked at the date on my phone, wondering whether I had somehow lost track of time. No, they had obviously revised their plans without informing me, or Anna told me and Victor somehow intercepted the message. I called her immediately. "Hey, I thought you weren't coming until 10 days from now." "We told you we changed our plans," she explained, bewildered. "I texted you 3 days ago about it. I never received that text." I'd been staying at Sophia's and avoiding checking my phone because it made me anxious every time it buzzed. I was so preoccupied with the threatening texts that I must have missed Anna's valid text among all the notifications I was attempting to ignore. "I'm sorry. Must have missed it with work being so crazy." I made up a story. "I'm actually staying at a friend's right now. Plumbing issues in my building." "Oh no." "Well, we're at your apartment. The super let us in when we explained we were family." I felt a flash of rage. Despite my detailed instructions to building security regarding my stalker problem, the super still let them in. He must have been charmed by Victor's seductive discourse, or he simply ignored my warning. I'll come meet you for lunch, I said, attempting to maintain a steady voice. There's a cafe about 2 blocks from my building. It's very popular. We agreed to meet in an hour. Sophia was still at work, so I couldn't tell her what was going on. I took a brief shower, hoping to wash away my worry and tiredness. Looking in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. I had dark circles under my eyes, pale complexion, and a disturbed countenance. I put on some makeup and tried to seem normal. The last thing I needed was Anna remarking on how ill I appeared. I chose the cafe carefully. It was often crowded, the tables were close together, and the staff recognized me as a regular. I came 15 minutes early and requested a table with my back to the wall and facing the entrance. I ordered a coffee. I couldn't sip since my stomach was too twisted to take caffeine. When they walked in, I almost ran. Seeing Victor in his element, confident and charming with his arm around my sister, made me violently uncomfortable. He looked precisely the same as he did 7 years ago. Maybe slightly more fleshed out with a different hairstyle. But those eyes, those cold, calculating eyes, had not changed at all. Anna spotted me and happily waved, drawing Victor to my table. I stood on wobbly legs and accepted her hug with stiff arms. Then Victor appeared, grabbing me into an embrace before I could escape. So lovely to finally meet my sister-in-law properly. He exclaimed loudly enough for surrounding tables to hear, yet he whispered in my ear. "Miss me." I hastily pushed away, almost knocking over my coffee. A waitress emerged to take their orders, giving me a chance to gather myself. I sat with my hands under the table so they wouldn't notice them shaking. Anna dominated the conversation, discussing their wedding honeymoon and how lovely my city was. I nodded and smiled mechanically, very aware that Victor was watching me. He kept stroking Anna, her hand, her shoulder, her hair, making sure I noticed each casual expression of affection which marked his territory. "Your apartment is gorgeous," Anna said. I was shocked by all of the security cameras. "Do you have any troubles with break-ins around here?" So they had observed those. I was wondering if Victor had already disabled them. Just being cautious, I murmured, my gaze shifting to Victor. Never know who might try to get in. His smile was unwavering, but something flickered behind his eyes. Challenge accepted. The lunch continued with tedious, small conversation. Anna appeared unconcerned about the stress, casually talking along, while I sat there calculating distances to exits, wondering if yelling would truly get someone to help or simply label me as insane. As we were wrapping up, Victor excused himself to use the restroom. When he left, I grabbed Anna's hand. "You need to listen to me," I urged urgently. I didn't lie about Victor. He is dangerous. He's been stalking me, sending me photos, and bugging my apartment. Anna's expression stiffened. "Stop it, Elise. Just quit. I'm not sure what your problem is, but this has to cease. Victor told me you might do this." I froze. He told me you had some kind of obsession with him years ago, that you couldn't accept when he broke things off and started spreading rumors about him being abusive. My jaw fell. He had preemptively poisoned her against me, set up the ideal defense. "That's not what happened," I said, my voice cracking with desperation. "Why would I make something up? Why would I? Because you've always been like this," she said, more louder than she probably meant. A few nearby diners cast glances our way. She lowered her voice, always dramatic, always needing attention, always making everything about you. The accusation landed like a smack. Was that truly how she saw me? How did my family see me? "That's what he wants you to think," I said quietly. "That's how abusers operate. They separate you from others who may perceive the truth." "The only truth I see," Anna remarked with a frown, "is that my sister is trying to ruin my marriage before it's even begun." Victor returned, smiling, inquiring what he had missed. The look Anna gave me indicated that the talk was ended. I mumbled something about needing to hurry back to Sophia's to prepare for work tomorrow. I made up an excuse about her pets and my allergies, so they couldn't stay with me. Such a shame, Victor added. We were looking forward to spending quality time together. The way he said it made my skin crawl. I escaped without being touched again, promising to see them for supper tomorrow night. As soon as I turned the corner and was out of sight of the cafe, I broke into a run back to Sophia's. I half expected to see him already there and waiting, but the apartment was vacant. Sophia came home from work to find me pacing her living room, gnawing my nails down to the quick, a habit I'd quit years ago after leaving Victor. They've arrived already, I told her. Inside my apartment, he has convinced Anna that I am some delusional ex who cooked up abuse charges. Sophia sat me down, made me sip some water, and then listened. Unlike my sister, unlike the cops, she believed me wholeheartedly, and that single gesture of faith nearly broke. Me. You're staying here as long as you need, she stated firmly. And we're going to figure this out. That night, I received another text with a photo of me entering Sophia's building after lunch, followed by another of Sophia getting home from work. The note said, "Nice pal. I wouldn't want anything to happen to her." I showed Sophia, anticipating her to flip out. Instead, she became enraged, not afraid angry. She described him as a sad coward hiding behind text messages. Her furious rage was precisely what I needed. It reminded me that this wasn't normal and that I wasn't insane for being scared. We spent that night devising a strategy. First, I'd attempt speaking with Victor personally, meeting him somewhere public, discreetly recording the conversation, and convincing him to reveal what he was doing. Sophia would be close as a backup. If that didn't work, we'd try again with Anna, showing her any concrete evidence we could find. If all else failed, we'd go to the police with whatever evidence we could find, no matter how circumstantial. The next day at work was torturous. I saw him everywhere in the reflections of windows, in crowds on the street, and behind me in the elevator. Every time my phone vibrated with an email, my heart stopped. My employer saw something was awry and summoned me to her office. I was sure I'd be fired because of my obvious distraction. Instead, she inquired if I was all right. She stared at me with genuine concern. Something about her grandmotherly warmth got past my defenses. And, before I realized it, I was telling her everything. Not the ugly details, just that my sister married my abusive ex, and they were now in town, and I was terrified. I was expecting skepticism or awkward cliches. Instead, she quickly offered me a week's personal leave. When I hesitated, concerned about the limited staffing, she remarked, "Your safety is more important than any project deadline." It was a simple statement of truth, but it struck me hard. My safety was important. I mattered, after years of Victor making me feel useless, and Anna rejecting my fear as attention-seeking. Here was this woman I barely knew outside of work who made my well-being a top priority. I accepted the leave, but asked to stay until the end of the day to finish certain projects. My employer took me to my car that evening and waited for me to drive away. Such a simple act of protection, but it meant everything. I planned to meet Victor in a cafe near my office the following day. I told him I just wanted to clear the air between the two of us. I offered a time when Anna would be at her spa treatment, which she had mentioned during lunch. He consented almost too readily. Sophia and I made careful preparations. I donned a button-up shirt with a small recording device tucked into the front pocket. Sophia would sit close and pretend to work on her laptop. We arrived early and reserved a table in the corner with a clear view of the entryway. Victor arrived on time, dressed perfectly in a casual button-down and designer trousers. He grinned as he approached, and for a little moment I remembered why I'd fell for him in the first place, before I realized who he really was. "Ilase," he began, cheerfully sitting across from me. I was hoping we'd get the chance to talk privately. "I bet you were," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "Victor, what is your game here? Why Anna? Why now? He appeared to be genuinely bewildered. Game. I fell in love with an incredible woman who happens to be your sister. Simple as that. The texts, images, and bugs in my apartment. Do you expect me to believe that as a coincidence? His demeanor remained unchanged, but he leaned slightly forward. I don't know what you're talking about, Elise. It sounds like you're having some troubles. Maybe you should speak with someone about it. Classic gaslighting. I had anticipated it, but it still made my blood boil. Cut the crap, I said. I know it is you. What I do not know is why. Revenge. A sick power trip, or did you simply miss having someone to torture? He sighed and looked around, frightened that someone may overhear. He then took out his phone, tapped something, and placed it on the table. What are you doing? I inquired, suddenly nervous. Recording our conversation, he stated gently. For my protection. You appear unstable, making wild accusations. My heart fell. He was preparing evidence against me. Anything I said could be altered, manipulated, and used to make me appear delusional, just as he had convinced Anna I was. You haven't changed at all, I finally said. Still the same manipulative monster. He gave a chilly smile that did not reach his eyes. And you're still so easy to shake. They always were. He picked up his phone, paused the recording, and stood up. I believe we're done here. I would appreciate it if you could keep your illusions away from my wife. She's concerned about you. You know we are. I watched him leave, defeat sweeping over me. The recorder felt heavy in my pocket. Useless. He had outplayed me yet again. I looked over at Sophia, who appeared to understand right once that things had not gone as planned. I returned to her apartment and reviewed the recording. While expected, it captured nothing incriminating, only Victor's anxiety. While I made allegations, Sophia proposed that we take a new approach. Research. If Victor purposefully targeted Anna to get to me, there could be evidence of planning. I began with the mutual friend who introduced them. Anna had mentioned the name Henrik once, but indicated they weren't close. I discovered him through her Facebook friends and messaged him saying that I wanted to surprise Anna with a special gift from the guy who had connected them. Henrik reacted swiftly, as if confused. He claimed he barely knew Victor and had only met him once at a company gathering. Victor approached him, explained that he was new in town, and requested to be introduced to some locals. Henrik had invited him to a dinner party with Anna present. That was it. Sophia and I gazed at each other. If Henrik was telling the truth, it corroborated my assumption that Victor purposefully targeted Anna. However, it was not proof of anything malicious, just a man looking to be introduced to folks in a new city. I needed more. I hesitantly messaged a handful of Anna's other friends, asking them how they remembered Anna and Victor becoming acquainted. Most comments agreed with Henrik's story. Victor had emerged out of nowhere, chased Anna aggressively, and proposed soon. Claudia, a friend, stated something unusual. Apparently, Victor had asked a lot of questions about Anna's family early on, especially about me, where I was living, what I was doing, and if I was seeing anyone. Anna thought it was wonderful that he wanted to get to know her family. That's it, Sophia said. He was fishing for information about you. It certainly appeared that way, but there was no evidence of anything illegal, just creepy and calculating. The next few days followed an uncomfortable pattern. I'd meet Anna and Victor for lunch or tours while retaining an unusual civility. Victor was usually the perfect gentleman in public, but he would brush up against me or mumble things when Anna wasn't looking. Nothing particularly scary, but enough to keep me on edge. Reminders that he was in command. Anna seemed unconcerned, but I caught her throwing me worried looks when she thought I wasn't looking. I wondered what Victor said her about me when they were alone. What poison was he dribbling into her ear? We ate dinner at their hotel restaurant on their 6th night in town. I'd made a point of suggesting only public settings for our meetings, rather than private ones. But halfway through the meal, Victor purposefully knocked over his wine glass, spilling crimson wine on my white blouse. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," he said, visibly distressed. "At least the bathroom is only down the hall," Anna, please give her your stain remover pen. Before I could resist, Anna handed me her handbag and told me to hurry before the stain set. I hesitated, unwilling to leave the restaurant's public environment. Go on, Victor insisted. I'll order you another drink while you clean up. The bathroom was located at the end of a lengthy hallway away from the main diner. I hurried, hoping to be as quick as possible. But, while wiping at the stain, the bathroom door opened. Victor walked inside, locked the door behind him, and leaned against it. My heart almost stopped. We were alone. For the first time in 7 years, I found myself truly alone. I backed up till I struck the wall, attempting to create as much space between us as possible. What do you want? I managed to ask, my voice louder than I had anticipated. He looked at me for a moment, tilting his head slightly. You know, I've been thinking about this moment for years. What I'd say once I had you alone again. Stay back, I advised, grabbing into my handbag for the pepper spray. I'll scream. He got out his phone and showed me that he was recording. Go ahead and scream. Attack me. I'll just show everyone how my mentally ill sister-in-law assaulted me when I arrived to see if she needed assistance. My hand moved away from my handbag. He was correct. Anything I did would be twisted against me, as it always had been. Why are you doing this? I asked, my voice barely audible. It's been 7 years. Why don't you just leave me alone? 7 years, 3 months, and 14 days, he corrected, stepping closer. Did you really think I'd forget you? That I would let you leave without consequences? He casually recalled the exact time since I'd left him, which drove frost through my veins. He had been counting the days, so that's what it is. Revenge. You married my sister to get back at me? He laughed, a sound that used to make my tummy flutter, but now causes it to turn initially. Yeah, it wasn't simple to find you. You know, you did a good job covering your traces. But then I remembered your sister, how you were constantly talking about her and trying to protect her. His smile broadened. Isn't it ironic? You're sick, I said, spitting. Anna doesn't deserve to be used like this. Here's the interesting part, he said, as if I hadn't spoken. I really like Anna. She is kind, uncomplicated, and grateful for anything I do for her. Not like you. Always questioning and fighting. He talked about her as if she were a well-behaved pet, which made me want to vomit. If you hurt her, you'll do what? He interrupted, taking another step forward. Now he was only an arm's length away. Run to the cops with your crazy stories. Tell your folks. We both know how nicely it turned out during the wedding. He stretched out swiftly and brushed his fingertips against my cheek. I flinched away, but there was nowhere to go with the wall behind me. You'll always be my favorite, though, he said. No one reacts as you do. No one breaks quite as gracefully. A tap at the door made us both freeze. Hello, is anyone in there? A woman's voice called. Victor's expression darkened for a brief moment before he recovered. Think about what I said, he muttered, before unlocking the door and stepping out, stating loudly. All yours, ma'am. I was just checking to see if my sister-in-law needed help with a wine stain. I lingered in that bathroom for a long time after he left, hands braced against the sink, trying not to shake. His words kept repeating in my thoughts. You will always be my favorite. His voice was possessive, and I was certain that I still belonged to him in some way. When I eventually returned to the table, Anna seemed concerned. Is everything okay? You were gone for a while. Fine, I said automatically. Stain was stubborn. Victor smiled at me across the table, raising his freshly poured glass of wine and a tiny toast that only I noticed. I couldn't eat another bite after that, so I basically pushed food around my plate until we left. That night, I told her everything. She wanted to go directly to the police, but what would we say? That my brother-in-law made some strange remarks to me in the bathroom. Did he touch my face? Nothing was prohibited. It was simply disturbing in its context. The following day, I decided to take a fresh approach with Anna. I invited her to lunch, just the two of us. I said I wanted some sister time before they departed. To my astonishment, she consented quickly. This time, I was careful not to make outright charges against Victor. Instead, I addressed casual questions about how they met, allowing her to tell the narrative of Henrik introducing them at a dinner party. I noticed some minor contradictions in what Henrik had told me. According to Anna, Victor specifically requested to see her after seeing her portrait at Henrik's house, although Henrik claimed the introduction was happenstance. It's funny, I stated cautiously. I was speaking with Henrik recently. He didn't remember purposely introducing you two. Anna frowned. What? Why were you speaking with Henrik about us? I realized my error too late. I wanted to get to know more about Victor since I missed the whole dating period. So you've been following up on him and questioning my friends behind my back. Her voice increased significantly, drawing attention from surrounding tables. It's not like that, I insisted. I'm just trying to understand. No, you're attempting to find anything wrong. You can't simply be glad for me, can you? She rose abruptly. Victor was correct. He suggested you do something like this. Of course he did. He was always a step ahead. Anna, please. I'm done with this conversation, she stated forcefully. I am heading back to the motel. Do not follow me. I watched her storm away, feeling helpless. Victor had positioned himself expertly, anticipating my every move and poisoning Anna against me before I could even react. My sister and I were becoming increasingly estranged. Back at Sophia's, I flopped on the sofa tired. Every attempt to defend Anna or expose Victor only appeared to drive her away and give him more ammunition. I felt as if I were playing chess against a master while blindfolded. My phone vibrated with a text from Lucas. He'd been checking in every day, and I'd been keeping him updated. His message was straightforward. Anything about his previous relationships. The pattern of behavior indicates a stronger case. That was a nice point. If Victor did this to me, he most likely did it to others as well. I'd been so concentrated on his connection with Anna that I hadn't considered looking back. I spent the next few hours going through social media, attempting to trace Victor's previous connections. It was not easy. He had a little online presence, which was carefully maintained. Eventually, I discovered Claudia, a woman who had left cryptic but pointed comments on previous images tagged with Victor. Things like, some memories are better buried, and true colors always emerge. Finally, I took a chance and messaged her explaining who I was and asked if she wanted to chat about Victor. To my astonishment, she responded almost immediately with her phone number. Claudia was cautious when I called. But as soon as I described my situation, Victor's marriage to my sister after years of dating me, she opened up. He did the same thing to me and my cousin, she added, her voice filled with ancient rage. He dated me for nearly a year and was charming at first, but then became domineering and abusive. When I finally left him, he set up a meeting with my cousin in a gym. Began dating her. I tried to warn her, but she paused. She didn't believe you. I concluded worse. She believed him when he suggested I was lying out of jealousy. We haven't spoken in almost a year because of him. Her tale was eerily similar to mine. What happened at the end? I asked. Claudia was quiet for a bit. He harmed her worse than he did me, put her in a hospital. That's when she finally believed me. My blood became chilly. Have you gone to the police? We tried. He provided alibis, altered evidence, and made my cousin appear unstable. The charges were later withdrawn. She sounded tired, like someone who had fought a long war and failed. We received a restraining order, but that was it. Last I heard, he relocated to another state. After we hung up, I sat in startled silence. Then I began Googling, more specifically, using terms such as Victor Henrik abuse and Victor Henrik restraining order. I discovered 4 more ladies who had shared their experiences in support groups or local news comments. Though they did not mention his entire name, the pattern was consistent. Charm, isolation, violence, and escape. Then he'd go after someone close to them. It was meticulous, purposeful, and horrifying. That night, I didn't sleep. Instead, I continued to investigate, document, and make a case. By morning, I had a digital folder full with screenshots, dates, patterns, and 4 ladies who were eager to share their experiences if necessary. But will it be sufficient? Anna was already dubious of my motivations. Victor had already labeled me as jealous and unstable. How could I convey this proof without making it appear like exactly what he predicted I would do? As I was puzzled about this, Anna texted me. After our dispute yesterday, I didn't expect to hear from her so soon. Can we speak alone? Hotel lobby. 9:30 a.m. A spark of hope ignited in my chest. Perhaps she had been thinking about our chat. Maybe what I said went through. I instantly responded that I'd be there, and then spent the next hour deciding what evidence to bring, what to say, and how to approach this chance. Sophia advised prudence. It could be a trap. Victor might have sent that text. She had a point, but I needed to try. I got at the hotel early, found a seat with a clear view of all entrances, and waited. At precisely 9:30 a.m., Anna appeared alone. She appeared exhausted, with black circles beneath her eyes, partially covered by makeup. Thanks for coming, she replied quietly, sitting across from me. Of course, I resisted the impulse to dive right into all of my evidence. Is everything all right? She looked around uneasily before responding. I do not know. Victor and I had a fight last night. My heart rate increased after I told him about our lunch. What type of fight? She stroked her wrist absently, and for the first time, I noticed what appeared to be the edge of a bruise fading beneath her bracelet. He became quite angry. You said you were attempting to separate us, that you've always been envious of what we had. I wanted to scream that what they had was a pure fake, but I kept back. Has he hurt you, Anna? Her gaze flashed up to mine, then away. No, he simply held my arm a little too tightly. He was upset. Classic minimization. I'd done this numerous times. Anna, I remarked gently. That is not acceptable. No matter how unhappy someone is, they have no right to harm you. It's not like that, she insisted. It happened just once. He apologized immediately. It was like listening to my own words from 7 years ago. The same reasons, the same desperate assumption that it was only a one-time occurrence that will never happen again. Can I show you something? I inquired carefully. She hesitated and then nodded. I took out my phone and showed her a photo I'd kept for years of my arm covered with finger-shaped bruises. This was after Victor had grabbed me too forcefully the first time. He also apologized right away. Her eyes expanded. I'm not sure that might be anything anyone. I have more, I replied gently. Not only from me, from other women. Claudia, Marcia, Isabel, all with the same narrative, all related in some way. Anna's cheeks turned pale. You are making this up. You must be. I wish I was. I murmured, overwhelmed with sadness. But deep down, I believe you understand I'm not. That's why you texted me today, right? Something felt wrong. She stared at me for a long time, struggle evident in her eyes. Then she gazed down at her wrist again, gradually removing her bracelet to see the whole bruise, a definite handprint wrapped around her delicate skin. He said it wouldn't happen again, she murmured softly. He always says that, I answered gently. To all of us, for the first time since the wedding, I noticed a break in her resolve, a glimmer of doubt. It wasn't much, but it was something a beginning. What should I do? She inquired, her voice small. First, you don't go back to that hotel room alone, I replied firmly. Come with me right now. We will sort out the rest together. She seemed torn, staring toward the elevators. These are my things. I need my passport and clothes. We can work that out. Your safety is the most important thing right now. Just when I thought she was going to accept, her phone rang. She stared down at it, and the color left her face. This is Victor. He's in the lobby. He says he sees us. My heart was in my throat as I snapped my head around and scanned the hotel lobby. There he was, sitting near the reception desk, staring directly at us with that smug little smile I'd come to detest. My entire body became hard. Don't look, I whispered to Anna. Just get up and walk with me to the front doors. Act normally. She nodded almost silently and gathered her purse with shaky hands. We stood up casually, as if we were two sisters concluding their coffee date. I laced my arm through Anna's partly for comfort, but largely to keep her from bolting. The exit was around 25 steps away. Elise. Victor's voice reverberated throughout the lobby. Everyone turned to look. Damn that classic manipulation, creating a commotion in public, so we couldn't ignore him without looking nuts. Keep walking, I muttered. But Anna had already frozen. I felt her trembling against me. Victor approached us, all lovely grins for the passers-by. Honey, there you are. I've looked everywhere. He reached for Anna's arm, the one with the bruises, and I automatically moved between them. We're just going out for some sister time, I announced loudly enough for anyone close to hear. Shopping, girl stuff. His eyes tightened for a split second before the mask slid back into place. Actually, we had that lunch reservation, remember? With my business associates, Anna looked down. I forgot. No problem, sweetheart. He reached around me to take her hand. We should head up so you can change. I could see it occurring in real time. Anna retreating back into herself, the little period of clarity vanishing. I was losing her again. Actually, I gasped. Anna isn't feeling well. Migraine. She had mentioned it earlier. Right. Anna. She stared at me and then at Victor, clearly caught between us. Is this true? Victor inquired, his voice filled with concern, as his gaze remained icy. After what felt like an eternity, Anna nodded. I do have a headache. Then I'll take care of you upstairs. Victor said, his grip on her hand tightening visibly. Women's problems too, I hastily added. She needs her sister right now. Do you understand? I could see him calculating, conscious that people were watching the exchange. He couldn't create a scene without exposing himself. Fine, he finally replied. I will reschedule lunch. Text me after you finished with your sister time. The way he said it sounded nasty. We will, I assured, already leading Anna to the exit. Once outside, I almost dragged her to the cab stand. We got into the first available cab, and I supplied Sophia's address. I only allowed myself to breathe when we were moving. He's going to be so angry, Anna muttered, looking back at the hotel as it faded behind us. But he can't hurt you if you're not there, I explained. She rubbed her wrists again. You do not comprehend. He will find me. He always does. The dejected assurance in her voice struck me hard. I'd experienced the same grim inevitability several times. Not this time, I pledged. This time you have me and Sophia and evidence. Anna broke down totally in Sophia's apartment. She sobbed on Sophia's couch while I prepared tea, and Sophia secretly triggered her home security system. Between tears, Anna admitted that things had become worse. The controlling conduct began during their honeymoon, checking her phone, critiquing her attire, and keeping track of who she talked to. The first physical incident occurred barely 4 days ago. He got mad when I spent too long on the phone with Mom. She told me I was ignoring him. I wanted to say I told you so, but I bit my tongue. Instead, I showed her everything I'd gathered, Claudia's and others' testimonies, the pattern of conduct, and images of my own torture 7 years ago. Anna glanced at the proof, her gaze shifting from one photo to the next, her hands quivering as she read Claudia's statement. I could see her battling internally between the Victor she believed she knew and the monster shown in these records. She took a very nasty photo of my damaged ribs from 7 years ago. I thought she said, her voice breaking. I thought he was perfect. He was so kind to me, so attentive. Her breath caught, but last night when he became angry, I noticed something different in his eyes. Something chilly. Something felt familiar, but I couldn't place it. She looked up at me and said, "Wasn't that the identical look you described at the wedding?" I nodded slowly. That is how he operates. 2 different individuals. Everyone sees the lovely one, but only his victims know who he truly is. What did I do? She whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. I married him. I chose him over my sister. He's a master manipulator, I explained. We've all fallen for it, even the police. Just suddenly, Anna's phone burst with messages. Victor, of course, alternated between anxious texts asking whether she was okay and increasingly aggressive demands for her location. Classic abuser whiplash. Turn it off, Sophia offered. Or better yet, let me see it. Anna gave up her phone. Sophia removed the SIM card and turned the phone back on. We can keep this for evidence, but he can't track it now. Sophia is a smart girl. We spent the next few hours devising a plan. Anna would stay with Sophia while I returned to my place to retrieve necessary materials. Then we'd all move to Luca's house across town, somewhere Victor wouldn't think to look. We'd next contact a lawyer to initiate divorce procedures and seek a more comprehensive restraining order. He'll contest everything. Anna remarked dejectedly. Drag it out forever. Let him try, I responded. We have evidence now, real evidence. I left them at Sophia's and took a cautious path to my place, frequently checking to see if I was being followed. My building appeared normal and peaceful. The security guard nodded as I walked in. Is everything okay, miss? Your brother-in-law was searching for you earlier. My stomach sank. When? About an hour ago. He said he needed to drop something off for you. I told him you were not home. At least the guard had not let him in. I thanked him and dashed into my flat, unlocking the 3 new locks I'd put. The property appeared to be in perfect condition, but I no longer trusted looks. I quickly checked for new listening devices before throwing critical clothes and documents into a rucksack. My phone rang when I was retrieving my passport from the desk drawer. Unknown number. I almost disregarded it, but my intuition told me to respond. Hello, Elise. Victor's voice chilled my veins. Where is my wife? I don't know what you're talking about. I claimed, still packing one-handed. Don't act dumb. I saw you leaving with her. Where is she safe from you? I snapped, dropping pretense. And she's going to stay that way. He laughed. That frigid laugh used to scare me. You've always been a fighter, Elise. This is what I appreciated about you. Breaking you was far more rewarding. You failed? I murmured, amazed by my own composure. You didn't break me then, and you won't break Anna now. Well, see. His voice sharpened. I want my wife back within an hour, or I'll call the police and report her missing. I will inform them that her mentally unstable sister has stolen her. I have quite a collection of your crazy texts and emails to show them. Are you talking about the ones you made up? Go ahead. We have real evidence. Evidence of what a guy who grabbed his wife's arm during an argument against a jealous sibling who has had fantasies about me. Who do you think people will believe? He had a point. Even with Claudia's testimony and my documents, it would be a tough battle in court. 1 hour, he reiterated. Or things get very ugly for both of you. He hung up. I packed fast, my mind racing. We needed to move quickly. I contacted Sophia as I left my flat, choosing the back stairs rather than the elevator. Change of plans, I remarked as soon as she responded. Victor is threatening to go to the police. We need to get to Lucas's now. Okay, Anna is in the shower. Well, be ready in 10. I hailed a cab, still looking for Victor. The drive to Sophia's seemed forever. Every red light represents eternity. When we finally arrived, I tossed money at the driver and dashed up to her apartment. Sophia answered my urgent knock with a troubled expression. Anna's gone. What? How she received an SMS while you were gone. She said it was from her friend Jennifer, but I believe it was actually Victor. She appeared upset. I went to make a call in the bedroom. When I checked on her, the bathroom window was open and she had left. I sank on the couch, defeated. He'd approached her again, perhaps threatening her or me. Sophia sat next to me. Now, when I looked at the blank wall contemplating the hotel, he will take her back there. It's the only location where he has complete control. Calling the cops still seemed fruitless without Anna's willingness to bring charges. We needed more. Something irrefutable. Then I remembered my hidden phone, the one I had slipped inside Anna's bag when she first returned to Victor. I had put a small prepaid phone into an inner zippered pocket of her purse while assisting her in finding her lipstick on the first day she arrived. Victor wouldn't notice it. Anna's large luggage had dozens of compartments, and he wasn't the kind to go through her personal items in front of others. I took Sophia's laptop and logged into my tracking application. After an agonizing minute, a tiny blue dot emerged on the map. The phone was on, and it was at the hotel. "She's there," I stated. "Now we just need a way to get her out without Victor stopping us." Sophia thought for a moment. "How about your parents?" Victor can't exactly withhold Anna from them without appearing suspicious. It was perilous, including my parents, in this issue. But Sophia was correct. Victor had carefully nurtured his image among them. He couldn't say no if they showed up wanting to see their daughter. I placed the call ready myself for disbelief. To my astonishment, my parents actually listened. Really listened. Maybe it was the desperate tone in my voice. Perhaps they had noticed signals, but disregarded them. Regardless, they agreed to help. "Well, be on the next flight," Dad stated confidently. "Text us the hotel details." Sophia and I discussed strategy while we waited for my folks to arrive. We called Claudia and the other women who had agreed to provide formal statements to our lawyer. We arranged all of our evidence into files and continued to monitor the tracking dot to ensure Anna remained at the hotel. My parents arrived 6 hours later. I met them at the airport, grateful beyond words to have reinforcements. Mom held me tightly and apologized for not believing me sooner. Dad looked grimmer than I'd ever seen him, with his jaw set in a way that reminded me of when he was a college fighter. We headed straight to the motel. Mom, Dad, Sophia, and I marched across the foyer like an invading army. The receptionist knew me and frowned. "We're here to see our daughter and son-in-law," Dad said simply. "Room 512. I'll need to call up first," the receptionist explained. "No need," Dad replied. Well, surprise them. He took off for the elevator without waiting for permission, leaving the rest of us trailing after. Mom gave a strong tap on the door to room 512. We heard movement inside, and Victor opened the door, his surprise swiftly replaced by a warm smile. "Mom and Dad, what a great surprise." Mom pushed past him without speaking. "Where is Anna?" Victor's smile wavered. "She is resting." Migraine. "I want to see her," Mom pleaded, already walking toward the bedroom. Victor stepped in her path. "She really shouldn't be disturbed." Dad put a strong hand on Victor's shoulder. "Son, I believe you should sit down. We need to talk." Victor's face flashed with wrath, which I recognized, but he couldn't express it to my parents, not if he wanted to retain his ideal son-in-law image. While Dad kept Victor engaged in the suite's living area, Mom Sophia and I saw Anna cuddled up on the bed. She was not sleeping. Her eyes were red and puffy from crying. When she spotted us, she shrank back and rushed into Mom's arms. "I'm very sorry," she wailed. "He threatened to hurt Elise if I didn't return. He showed me photos of her residence. He said he could get to her at any time." "It's okay," Mom said, stroking her hair. "We're all together now. We are taking you home." Dad cornered Victor on the couch in the living room and showed him printouts of the evidence we'd acquired. Victor's expression was one of fury. "These are obviously fabricated," he stated as we entered. "Elise has always been unstable. I am jealous of my relationship with Anna." "Save it." Dad stopped him off. "We've heard from Claudia Martia and Isabel and the others." Victor's eyes shot to me with intense anger, then returned to Dad with trained compassion. "I'm not sure who these women are. This is clearly a coordinated attack on my character." "We're leaving." Mom set her arm securely around Anna. "Each of us, this includes my daughter." Victor stood up. "Anna is my wife. She is not going anywhere." "Yes, I am," Anna replied quietly. It was her first time directly contradicting him in front of others. I experienced a wave of pride. Victor's mask slipped. "You ungrateful." He lunged at her, and a series of events occurred simultaneously. Dad stepped between them. Sophia grabbed out her phone and began recording. Mom drew Anna behind her, and I had been prepared for this moment for 7 years. I clicked the panic button on my phone, which automatically contacted 911 and began recording. "Don't touch my daughter," Dad said, his voice dead calm. Victor appeared to understand he had overplayed his hand. He smoothed his shirt, and the mask slid back into place. "This is ridiculous. You are all overreacting to a simple mistake. Anna, honey, tell them we are happy." Anna moved forward, still trembling, but standing taller. "We're done, Victor. I want a divorce." "You don't mean that," he replied, his voice tightening. "You're confused. Your sister has turned you against me." "No," Anna responded. "You did that yourself." She pulled up her sleeve, displaying injuries on her wrist. "This is who you really are." Victor's face was distorted with wrath. He surged again, shoving Dad away. But before he could reach Anna, I blocked his path. I would have backed down 7 years ago. Now, I stood my ground. "You don't get to hurt anyone else." "I told you." He gripped my arm as he had done numerous times before, his fingers pressing into the same wounded region. But this time, I wasn't a terrified 19-year-old. I twisted out of his hands, employing a self-defense technique I'd trained hundreds of times. Victor, taken aback by the opposition, staggered forward. Dad regained his balance and grabbed Victor from behind, detaining him just as hotel security entered the room, followed quickly by the police who had responded to my panic button. The following few hours were a jumble of comments, evidence submissions, and Victor being carried away in handcuffs while screaming his innocence. However, because the assault occurred in front of witnesses and was recorded from numerous angles, the authorities were forced to take it seriously. The responding cops were unexpectedly understanding, particularly the female investigator, who took Anna's statement in private. That night, Anna, my parents, Sophia, and I stayed together at my apartment. Safety and numbers. Anna remained quiet, contemplating what had transpired. I didn't urge her to speak. I recall how overpowering it seemed in those initial days after fleeing Victor. In the morning, we met with a lawyer who specializes in domestic violence cases. She assisted Anna in filing for a temporary restraining order and initiating divorce proceedings. Because they had only been married a short time and had no common assets, the divorce would be quite simple. Emotional healing would take longer. Victor remained in detention, and bail was rejected based on the evidence we presented, demonstrating his pattern of behavior with several women. The prosecution decided to file charges for stalking and harassment in addition to the hotel incident. Over the next few weeks, other women shared similar accounts about Victor establishing an undeniable pattern of predatory behavior. The case against him became stronger by the day. Even his lawyer began exploring for plea agreements. Anna opted to temporarily return to live with our parents. She wanted space to recuperate and discover who she was independent of Victor's influence. I really understood. We talked every day, rekindling the sister bond that Victor had worked so hard to destroy. 4 months later, Victor agreed to a plea agreement that included 7 years in prison, required treatment, and a permanent restraining order from contacting any of his victims, including Anna and me. It was not the longest sentence, but it was something. More significantly, there would be a record making it more difficult for him to harm others in the future. On Anna's 2-year wedding anniversary, we held a different type of ceremony. A divorce party, just a modest gathering of family and friends who had stood by us through everything. Sophia created a cake with freedom written on it, and Lucas flew in for the weekend. We did not discuss Victor or what had transpired. We just rejoiced being together and safe. Anna is still in therapy processing her experience. So am I, to be honest. Some wounds take longer to heal than others, but we're both getting there gradually. I wish I could say I don't think about Victor anymore, but that's a lie. I still double check my locks before bed and look over my shoulder when walking alone. Those behaviors may never completely go, but they no longer dominate me. My phone's tracker app continues to ping with Anna's whereabouts from time to time. We preserved it by mutual agreement, a safety precaution that gives us both comfort. Not out of control, but out of affection. A nonverbal method of saying, I have your back. Last week, Anna called to let me know she had met someone. For the time being, only informal coffee dates are scheduled. Nothing major, but she seemed upbeat and hopeful, as if she were going at her own pace and terms. As for me, I'm working on the domestic violence support organization Sophia and I founded. Helping other women notice and leave violent relationships has turned out to be very effective treatment for my own trauma. Every success story seems like another brick in the wall that connects my past and future. Victor stole 7 years of my life. Years I spent looking over my shoulder, questioning myself, and waiting for the next shoe to drop. I won't give him any more.